there's no value in panicking, right? Everything is new and yet everything stays the same. We are meeting crises and we need to meet them with the most level-headed way that we can.
Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of the video series Startup Empathy. In this video, you get to meet Eran Shir, who is the CEO and co-founder of Nexar, a safe driving network which is based in Tel Aviv, and just recently, during the whole crisis, announced a $52 million Series C funding. Eran has been an entrepreneur in residence at Aleph Venture Capital, and he actually built one of his startups during the financial crisis of 2008, and in this video is going to share with us some of his learnings and insights that he can apply now to this crisis.
Okay, Eran, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm really excited to talk to you. I mean, I've been following Nexar for quite a while now. I'm excited to talk to you about the latest development and what's been going on, and especially also showing other founders how the founders of the most promising startup deal with this crisis, especially companies and startups from all around the world. So, Eran, I'm really excited to have you on the Startup Empathy video series here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
So, Eran, tell me first, where are you right now? I mean, that's the most interesting question for everybody. Where are you working from at the moment?
I'm working from my studio at home, as you can see.
Yes. Very cool. I mean, we are here at the pop-up studio of CiaVision, which is an AI-based camera operating system, and I'm very excited to be here and try this studio here and see how that goes. But let's get first started. I'm really excited because, again, Eran, I've been following you from the sidelines. I think it's our first interaction live, so I'm really excited about that. But before we get into Nexar specifically, I mean, I want to talk to you about one specific thing. I mean, you started your first company, if I remember correctly, Draper, in 2007, which just before the crisis. What was your learning, building this company in this first, financial crisis in 2008 and then selling it in 2010 to Yahoo? What was your learning that when you look back, this is what you're looking back at?
So actually, it was my second company. The first company I founded even before that, and I made lots of mistakes. So I had and that's why you didn't hear about it ever. I had an opportunity to kind of try to minimize some of the mistakes, not all of them. We try to learn over time. So I started Dapper together with my co-founder then, John. We started it in the beginning of 2007. I actually moved to the US in August 2008 to basically expand the business, run the business, from San Francisco, right? So I moved to San Francisco, to the Bay Area, in August 2008. I was scheduled to close a B round in September of 2008, right? I was supposed to get a term sheet in the middle of September, and then all hell broke loose. And instead of a term sheet, I got a phone call. And thankfully, we had good investors. We had Excel as our investors, and they kind of helped us bridge through that period. But we had to cut people and adjust. But as we've gone through that period, we actually came out of it, I think, stronger. We came out of it more nimble, and also from a market perspective, there was more interest in moving fast. So I think that one of the key lessons I've taken from that period and kind of applying it in this crisis, you need to call out, okay, we are not letting the cognitive dissonance grow anymore, right? You're feeling like today is like yesterday, and yesterday was like the day before. Then I can say, no. We are actually explicitly saying things are different. Maybe we don't know yet how different they are or in what exact way, but they are different. So you need to act. Okay, so you need to then define exactly what are your new goals for your team and for yourself, and then understand what are the adjustments that you need to make do them decisively, do them in a way that is a bit even overshooting, so that you will know exactly where you need to go as you go along, and you are not getting into what we in Israel call the salami system.
Yeah.
You heard of the salami system?
No. Tell me quickly what the salami system is.
Well, the salami system is you go through cuts one after the other, rather than doing it in one full process, right? So let's say I want to convince you to give me $1 million, and I'm saying, okay, it's just $1,000, and then maybe another 2,000, and maybe 5,000 later, and stuff like that. It's a well-honored tradition in the Israeli government to do things in the salami way. Actually, as an entrepreneur, as a startup founder, it's also very enticing because the steps that you need to take require a lot of conviction and a lot of kind of pain, right? If you need to adjust, change things in a rapid way or in a big way, it's very painful. And there's lots of good reasons why not to do it. And so you are tempted to say, okay, let me try a bit, see how it goes. We'll see how next month goes. And then maybe we'll try and adjust a bit more and stuff like that. And that's really wrong. I think a good example of how to do it is how Airbnb did it this past week, where Brian Chesky, the CEO, kind of communicated, A, what they're doing, B, why are they doing it in a pretty detailed manner, and C, defining that as the full scope of what they're doing for that moment, so that it gives certainty to everyone else. So I think these are the kind of decisiveness that crises require, and that's what I learned from 2008. I also learned that there's no value in panicking, right? Everything is new, and yet everything stays the same. We are meeting crises, and we need to meet them with the most level-headed way that we can.
So let's move into today, where you are the CEO and co-founder of Nexar. Maybe give me just like a 1-minute introduction about Nexar, so we have it for all out there who have never heard of Nexar. What do you guys do?
Nexar is a company that is building the world's safe driving network. It allows you to buy a camera. If anyone heard of Dashcam, we built the dash cameras services of the 21st century, basically taking what was typically a pretty basic hardware device, doesn't do much for you, and we weaponize it. We pushed AI into it, we turn it into a network so people get value from also other people around them, and we connected it to the cloud. So all of a sudden, you put a hardware device in your vehicle that is costing like $70. You are moved into the future, right? Everything is collected, stored in the cloud. Everything that happens to you, we detect collisions. We use AI to reconstruct collisions, like you have in kind of NCIS and all this kind of
Yes.
TV shows where you see everything that's happened and what happened, etc. So you have all the evidence if something happened to you. We allow you to be connected to your insurance company in one tap. So if something happened to you, within minutes, they'll close the loop with you. They will have all the evidence that you shared with them through Nexar, and you'll be able to close everything. So that's on the most basic experience of what you'd expect, a dash camera. But that's just the beginning, because then you factor in the network. And what is the network? Every vehicle that is part of the Nexor network, as it drives along, actually sees everything on the road. We detect, using our AI, we detect things from traffic signs to traffic lights to potholes to other vehicles on the road to road construction, and the list just keeps on going. So when you are kind of effectively crawling the public space, like Google crawls the web, right? We are crawling the public space. We see in the US, for example, we see over 90% of the freeways every week, over 90% of all major cities every week and all this kind of stuff. And in many cities, we see the entire city every hour, every few minutes. So what does that give us? It gives us the ability, just like Google crawls and indexes the web, it allows us to index the public space. It allows us to understand what's happening out there in the world and turn that into value for our users, for our advisors. So we will give you alerts like there's construction ahead, or we'll tell you when the traffic light is about to change to green or to red to alert you, and all this kind of stuff that are trying to keep you safer. But it also unlocks the ability for us to look at the whole city as an evolving thing, right? So we can map what's dynamic in the city. Okay, they started construction on Fifth Avenue, between 34th and 35th. It started at 6 a.m., ended at 11 a.m. They impact the first lane or the first two lanes or whatever. These are things that we dynamically detect and turn them into value so that cities can better manage themselves. Mapping services can be more up to date. Mobility services can be more up to date. All of it together can work more in unison. Just to give you one illustration, we just introduced a couple new services. One of them is groups, right? So you and your family can be connected through Nexar, be able to be aware if your loved one is got into a collision or they started a ride, ended a ride, all this kind of stuff. They can decide that they want to share that with you for them to be safer on the road, and vice versa. And last week we introduced virtual camera. If you got a chance to see it, which is basically the ability to put a pin on a map and say, okay, I've sort of installed the CCTV camera here. Now I can monitor what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. I mean, when people go on your website, which is actually probably one of the coolest websites I've ever seen, at the very top it says you just raised your Series C at $52 million US, and yet you have a new product launch that is specifically targeted for COVID, which is very interesting because again, we try to show and how founders are reacting in this situation. So let me first focus on the fundraising part. Number one, I assume this fundraising round was not started and closed during the crisis, but maybe you can elaborate a little bit what happened while you were in negotiations and while you were talking to investors, and then this whole crisis started. What were your feelings? How were the reactions of the investors once they realized it's going down?
Actually, it was closed last week. So that part is true. It's true that it didn't start in the last month. We started it before COVID, and a bulk of the commitments to the round were done before COVID. Quite a few investors did join in the last 2 months. Investors in private companies that are looking at an outlook of kind of working with the companies for 7-10 years. Okay? The smart ones, I think, don't look at the markets, the public market, and say, okay, it's down, so I won't invest. I think that the questions that investors ask themselves is how this new situation going to impact my thesis. Okay, so investors typically, good investors have some thesis on the world, and that thesis is the lens through which they decide whether or not to invest. And so they ask, how is it going to impact? And some investors said, look, readjusting my worldview is going to take some time, so I'm not going to invest until I fully readjusted it. And some investors are saying, okay, I think I understand what's going to be heavily impacted, what is going to be mildly impacted, and what might be impacted for the better. And look at it like that and do some investment. I think that where we were a bit lucky is that actually our commercial engagements didn't show a lot of softness. Right, for example, we signed our biggest deal ever in March, right? As COVID gonna happen. So we had some tailwind from the commercial side to also give people some confidence on the investment side.
Now, when we look on the product side, I mean, you announced there's something new. Like, how did you go about this? That you were able to say, like, yes, this is something that we want to hop on this train, even though we don't really know how long this crisis is going to take. But like, you felt like, yes, like we want to develop a special product just for this crisis.
We didn't exactly develop a special product just for this. We had ideas around this product, virtual camera, even before the crisis. But what crisis caused is for us to really accelerate our work in that direction. And, you always have many ideas and many directions in which you can take a product. And here, it was pretty obvious for us that this product of virtual camera that allows you basically to look at the outside world while you're in is pretty relevant in a situation where you're working from home or you can't go out as much, etc. Generically more valuable in times of Corona, but also it's in particular relevant for people that need to, as part of their job, to monitor the roads, to monitor streets, to monitor the city. And so we thought that this product will help the people that we are, that are our partners, that we want to help them as much as possible. And B, it's a contribution that we can contribute for the duration of the crisis for many people that are not yet partners. And that's why we kind of put it out there as a free service for all government officials need as part of their job to understand what's going on in their city or in their areas, and do not have an easy way of doing it right now.
I mean, like, I'm following one of your investors, which is Aleph, and you were also once an entrepreneur in residence there. And Eden recently wrote that, like, there are some of his portfolio companies that I don't know, I didn't ask him if it's you or not, but like that indicate whether people are actually staying at home or not. So I wanted to know, like, if there's anything like, government related that, like, basically your data is using to really facilitate better data-driven understanding of if the public is actually obeying by the rules.
Yeah, for sure. We're obviously, as we have a sample set of or panel of people that make decisions whether to drive or not. So you can see the drop as the quarantine kind of kicked in, and then what we're seeing now is indeed a gradual increase. We're not seeing a pop back up. We are seeing a sort of a gradual increase in different locations, and actually we're going to publish some insights around that in the coming weeks. It's actually quite interesting to see in different states, different populations kind of react.
When you're looking now into the future, what are kind of like for you your mindset change that you would say, like, okay, like this is like something that like I'm going to take now for yourself for the next couple of weeks or months, that like you were surprised about yourself and the company, that like you would say like this was something that like is let's say new on your horizon compared to, let's say, 6 months ago?
Definitely the most interesting aspect of it is working from home. We've always been a Zoom company in the sense that we have people all over the place. My co-founder lives in Spain. And so from day one, we were kind of walking through video conferences, things like that. But we are very much centered around the office. And the last 2 months, we've been working from home like everyone else. And it was quite fascinating. Like I was concerned about how different teams that are very kind of familiar or communal, how will they adjust, whether our productivity will be impacted. And actually, if it were impacted, it was impacted for the better. On the one hand, we see that working from home is quite possible. On the other hand, I now see, as this week the government here in Israel allowed people to go back to the office in a more serious way, and I do see teams kind of racing back to the office of their own volition. Right? Like we didn't force anyone to go back to the office, but but today there are a few teams in the office because they want that. I think we're going to go towards sort of a new normal in that sense that where many people will opt to work from home part of the time at least, and we will see how what will be the second order effects of that. Whether there'll be a mega effect on real estate, or there'll be an effect on hiring and where you hire from and all this kind of stuff. This still needs to play out.
What's your one learning from this crisis?
That I can spend the whole day working very hard without wearing pants.
What is your most felt feeling during this crisis?
I was very thankful. We had a number of huge projects going on right now. Teams were working very hard while working from home, whilst with kind of small kids, some of them. I was mainly thankful for all the hard work that I've seen, and everyone kind of, not missing a beat.
What do you think is that because of this crisis will change forever?
I think travel will be impacted. I don't know forever. Forever is a long time, but definitely for the next few years, especially business travel, it's going to be interesting to see how it kind of pans out.
As entrepreneurs, we see a lot of opportunities left and right, but we have to stay focused. Maybe one is the one opportunity you would love to pursue, but you just have to stay focused on Nexar.
If someone hears this and wants to do a startup, I have the best idea for a startup right now. It's connecting regular people that want to cook with a chef that can give them an advice on how to do what they're doing better. Right? So think of Zoom for chefs and people. I think this will be a hit. Anyway, the chefs are at home because all the restaurants are closed. People are cooking because they have to, because all the restaurants are closed, but they want to upgrade the skill. I think someone can make a fortune with that.
It's funny because I'm only telling this to you because my wife's birthday is next week and this will be published after, but I'm organizing a barkeeper workshop over Zoom with a professional barkeeper.
There you go.
Very good, very good. And the last one, what is your one tip to work from home?
To try to find a quiet place and to have lots of water next to you so you don't have to go. Oh, and one more thing. In Zoom, start your meetings 5 minutes after the hour.
Like not at 10, like at 10:05.
Right. That gives you, if you need to, do something, you have 5 minutes buffer, because otherwise, I have days of 11 hours back-to-back Zoom meetings, and all of a sudden you get stuck. Small thing, but helpful.
Good. Eran, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Stay healthy. Lots of success in these interesting times. Thank you for your positivity in these interesting times.
No, thank you.
Bye-bye.